Wyoming. As many of you know, we went to Wyoming May 26th through June the 4th. It was our student mission trip, and it was a great trip. Everyone enjoyed it, and so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I've got some pictures. I'm going to talk to the church about what we saw, what we experienced, and the work that we did up in Wyoming, and it was a blessing. And so I'm hoping that by the end of this evening, maybe it will motivate our church to want to do a little bit more in the work of missions, because I realize, and I've been contacted by some people and been asked. They said, Brian, why did you go all the way to Wyoming and not stay here? Because missions are right here in our own community. And I agreed with them. I told them, yeah, absolutely, they're right here in our own community. But sometimes you have to take a group 1,700 miles away to motivate them and to help them see that, okay, I can do the work here. Why can't I do it at home? And so, and I think some of us realize that. And I'm going to tell you a story about a couple here in a little bit. One little thing that this couple did, Brother David, really just impacted me. And so I'm going to challenge our youth group to maybe do the same thing when we start back up in the fall semester. But it was just one little act of kindness. We tend to forget the simple things. We look at the bigger picture, but it's the simple things that we tend to forget that can really make an impact in somebody's life. Before I get started, let me just go through a couple of announcements. As many of you know, this Wednesday night from 6 to 8 o'clock is our third night of VBS. So to my students, please be here. Get here about 5:30 so we can get geared up to do that. And any adult workers out there, if you'd still like to participate with that and still help in any way, we most certainly need your help with that. And so that will be from 6 to 8. This will be day 3, which means we only have day 4 and day 5 the following Wednesdays, and then we'll wrap up VBS for 2023. And Jody is doing a great job of organizing that, because I'm kind of in the background, and I've left her high and dry these past 2 weeks, and I didn't mean to. Yes. And on vacation, sitting on the beach. So at least I got to do that, okay? I couldn't eat what I wanted to, but that's okay. I can eat now. So, and also adult Bible study right here, 7 o'clock this Wednesday night as they go through the Psalms. So we're looking forward to that. And then next Sunday, we're only going to have a morning worship service, but we will no, wait a second. No, we are having evening service, aren't we? We will have evening service, 6 o'clock, y'all. I just now saw that. Didn't see that this morning. But yeah, I apologize. Anyway, I'm thinking 4th. I don't know why what I'm thinking. But anyway, we will have Deacon meeting at 4:30, Finance at 4, and Grow at 4:30. So, and then also Jody spoke about the Harrisburg Day Camp. That is Monday through Friday, July 3rd through the 7th. And she talked about registration coming up. So if you have any questions, please see her about that. Okay, at this time, I'm going to ask everyone to stand up. All right. I see my buddy back there, Grant Jenkins. I'm going to ask him if he would to open us up in a word of prayer. Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. All right, first and foremost, I just got a few things wrote down here, and I've said this before, but I just want to say it again. I just want to thank the church and all the support that we got. What I want you to understand and to realize is that without the support that you have given me in the main event, we would have never been able to have this trip happen. The monetary support, I mean, it's expensive to go on these trips. And so I want to say a huge thank you again to all of you out there that supported us. I want to do this again. As a matter of fact, Brother James wants us to come back up there again. I told him, I'm like, let us get back and let's get through our VBS, and then Jody and I are going to sit down and we're going to discuss some up-and-coming future events. So I don't know what the Lord has planned for us, but yes, I do want to go back, because it was not only just the scenery up there was beautiful. It was just not that. It was just the work. And, I mean, I was in a different world up there. And you are in a different world up there. And I loved it. I mean, and I think everyone else that went on the trip enjoyed it too. So again, thank you for the support, and also I have to thank my adults as well too. Most of the pictures that you will see tonight, I've got to give credit to Andrea Jenkins. She took the majority of the pictures. She had over 330 something pictures, maybe 340 something pictures that she took just on her camera alone, plus what she had on her iPhone. And then some students and a few other adults took pictures as well. So I did the best job I could to compile all of this stuff. And literally, when I put the PowerPoint together for tonight, it was 3 gigs in size. If you understand when I'm talking computer lingo up here, that's a big file. So I had to draw that back a little bit because I'm like, there's no way we're going through 300 and something pictures tonight. So I took out about 200 and something pictures. So, and just kind of just going to hit the high points with that. But a big thank you to her. Also, Mike and Elizabeth Johnson, they're not here. They're actually back out there, okay? So Mike and Elizabeth are in Nebraska right now, well, kind of halfway there. They are at a muzzle loading shooting competition out there, and so they'll be tuning in tonight and watching if they may be watching right now. So, and if you are watching online, you may not be able to see the pictures very well, but rest assured you can go back and watch again. I'm going to get the pictures to Brother Gary, and he's going to put picture on picture up there. So when you go back and watch this, you'll be able to see the pictures as well too. But thank you to all the workers, all of my workers. I mean, even my bus driver, Derek. I got a great picture that we're going to talk about Derek here in a second. So, I mean, this dude can drive a bus, okay? And as a matter of fact, I told him, and I talked him into going on this trip. I said, look, Derek, I'm going to help you drive, okay? So out of the 1,700 miles up there and the 1,700 miles back, how many miles did I drive, Derek? Maybe 150? Something like that. He just loved driving. So I'm like, are you sure you're good? And he's like, yeah, I love driving. I'm saying, well, then drive. All right, have at it. Drive. But so a big thank you to him and just everybody, to Jody, to Andrea, to Penny, to Shasta. I mean, all these adult workers done a fantastic job, and I hope that they will go on another trip with me in the near future again. But anyway, okay, let's get to the good stuff right here. All right, so here we are, Gray Bull, Wyoming. This is when we first pulled in. Andrea did snap a picture of this this sign right here. The population is 1,651, about the size of Mantachie. But the difference between Gray Bull, Wyoming and Mantachie is that we're at an elevation up in Gray Bull of 3,788 feet. Okay, so we're just a little bit higher than Mantachie, but we had to get that picture in there. And of course, I don't know who was doing this, but Gary was driving the church van and he was being unsafe, so somebody took a picture of him just driving down the road doing about, and it's 80 miles an hour up there, y'all. Yeah, even the 2 lanes are 70 miles an hour. I mean, we need that in Mantachie, let me tell you. I think they already do that for the most part. But anyway, so here's just some pictures of just some of the scenery as we were coming into Wyoming. Now, keep in mind, we never got to the mountain ranges yet. We didn't cross over our first mountain range until we got past Casper, Wyoming. And I think that was the Bighorn Mountain Range, right? I think I'm right about that. But anyway, so these are just some of the pictures here. And I do want to say something about a couple of these pictures. So when we're coming into Wyoming, we're just taking all this in. Everybody's enjoying the scenery. There's Derek. He's checking his maps, make sure we're going in the right direction. And if you notice, he's got his driver hat on. And there's everybody just having a great time in the church bus. Just some pictures of some students and so forth. And of course, you know, we had to stop and eat. But let me just back up just for a second and get to these pictures right here. So when we first came into Wyoming, we had a weather person with us, and we didn't even know we had a weather person with us. And so I received a text message, and it was Jody Lapon, okay? And she said, hey, look, there's a severe storm coming up. I think we need to pull over. And you could see this thing because you can see for literally country miles out there. And we could see that thing. And so I'm looking at my weather map. She's looking at hers, and I'm like, you know, I think we can miss that thing. And but now let's pull over. Everybody need to pull over. So we found a rest area, and we pulled over. Well, we rested. We watched the storm go over. Of course, it was north of us. But by the time we got back on the road, we got up there, and then all of a sudden, that nice, dry, paved black road turned into a white road, okay? So it had hailed. And when I'm telling you the hail dropped up there, I'm going to say, I can't exaggerate, 3-4 inches, Gary, something at least like that, enough to where when you were driving down the road, it wore out the wheel ruts. And so I've never seen anything like that. I grew up in Texas, have some pretty good hailstorms in Texas, but nothing like that up there in Wyoming. And I may have a picture of that in there. I can't remember if I included that or not. But anyway, here is just some of the pictures right here of just us running across the road, being unsafe and all that stuff. Trust me, I took care of your students, so they made it safely across the road after we ate. But anyway, so we rolled into Gray Bull on Saturday morning, or excuse me, Saturday evening. It was about 9:30. And so Sunday morning rolled around, and Brother James had asked me if I would preach a message at the Shell Cowboy Church. And it was really a humbling experience. So Shell is a little town just east of Grable, and this is where they have Cowboy Church. Now, there you just wear what you want to. And so I was in my element, Brother David. I was like, you mean I get to wear jeans and a T-shirt? Yes. So I asked what I wore, and it was a humbling experience. There were several people that did attend that, and just some super, super nice people. And I spoke a message on the Good Samaritan, and so I felt the Lord with me, and I think it touched some people's hearts and stuff like that. So, and we were also able to lead a couple of songs, and I can't forget about that little girl up there in the middle. And so Anna Karen went on the trip with us, and let me tell you what, she was a trooper on the entire trip. She got up there and sang with Emily and I, and that is Peyton, my guitarist in the back there. And so we played about 3 songs, and we just had a great time. I preached the message and fellowshiped afterwards with just the people of the Cowboy Church, and it was just awesome. One of the things that they did do a little bit different is they have church at nighttime. They don't do a morning service. They have a night service. And so when we came into town, they said, hey, look, we're going to change it. We're going to do a morning service. That way it kind of helps you and gives you the afternoon to go and experience just a little bit of the scenery and stuff like that. And so Sammy and Tina Green were with us on the trip. Many of y'all know Sammy and Tina. They do a lot of work up there. And so they were more or less our guides on this trip. Because again, they have the experience, and that was something that I needed because I have never done anything on this large of a scale. So anyway, that couple, let me tell you a quick story about that. That couple that you see me talking to right there, the fellow in the green shirt and the lady in the white shirt, we were up there talking. They are from not based in Worland, Wyoming, which is. It's a pretty good little piece to Shell from Worland, but they make the trek up there to go to and attend the Cowboy Church. Now, you got to remember, up there, the majority of people are Mormon. So you don't see a church like you do here in the Bible Belt on every street corner. Up there, it's Mormon is the dominant religion. And so we were up there just talking to them, just a nice, sweet couple, and they were telling me about something that they have done for, I think she told me the past 15 or 16 years, as best as I could remember what she told me. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they will go to their local laundromat, okay? Now follow me on this. Their local laundromat, and they will go in and they will hand people quarters and pay for their laundry and share the gospel with them. They won't do the laundry because I tried getting her to do my laundry, and she told me no really fast, but they will pay to do their laundry. And I got to thinking about that, and I'm like, wow, what a simple gesture and a way to share the gospel with somebody, a way to share the love of God with somebody. And so I asked him, I said, well, what kind of responses do you get out of it? And she goes, it's just nothing but positive. And she said some people will sit there and say, okay, what's the catch? You know, and she's like, there's no catch. They go in, they hand them a roll of quarters, and they pay for their laundry. And I think that's awesome. So, you know, I think about that, and I just think about it's the little simple things like that that we can do in our own community here to touch somebody's heart. You know, Brother David's got that thing on our mail out, be blessed, be a blessing, and be blessed. I believe am I right about that? Other way around. Be blessed, be a blessing. You know, that's a way to do that in something so simple. It's just walking up to somebody and saying, hey, look, I want to pay for your laundry. You know, what is it we can we pray for something for you today? You know, is there something you'd like for us to pray about? And so it was just these little simple things, and I was just blown away by that. I just thought that was just really awesome. And again, a super nice couple. The guy in the green shirt, though, like Rodney is here, gives me a hard time. I felt a whole lot better because he was really laying it to Brother James. So, you know, there's one in every church, okay? So, and he's it for the Shell Church. So, this was us after leaving church. That's Lily and Autumn right there. I got their picture at the bus there, and here's Jade, number one. All right, so after we had gotten done with church, we headed, and I didn't have this on the agenda. I mean, this was not part of the plans. Sammy and Tina come up to us, and they're like, hey, y'all want to go to Yellowstone? And I thought about it. I'm like, you know, we drive up this far. Let's go see Yellowstone. I mean, it's beautiful. Now, we didn't even probably get to see a quarter of it because it takes a good couple of days to see the entire park of Yellowstone. But we headed up there, and as we're going in, these are just some of the pictures. And these pictures, again, y'all, I mean, you know, these are just pictures. You got to experience this in real life because it's just, God just paints a beautiful picture. There's nothing else I can say about that. It's just so positive. And we found a place to pull over, and we had sandwiches and stuff like that. This was one of the stops on the way up there, and I forgot the name of this place that we stopped at. It was a dam on one of the reservoirs up there, and we got to go and look at what was it? Cody. Okay. Yeah, anyway, we got to go over there and look at this dam, and you were thinking, well, you know, it's not going to be that far down, but when you leaned over the side, you lost your breath. So it was a mini Hoover Dam is what it was. And, so I stepped back really quick and, and just kind of looked over and got a picture of it on my phone, but a real beautiful place here. And so these are just a few of the pictures right here with us being at that spot. Now, as we started heading on into Yellowstone, keep in mind this was May the 29th, okay? And in May, you know, especially in Mississippi, you don't see that white stuff, right? So this kind of goes to show you how high up we started going. And when we were driving in, we were just, you know, everybody was just blown away. Some of us were that's never seen this before with the snow up there this time of the year. And so we got up there, and sure enough, there is still snow on the mountains up there. And, I mean, look at that stuff. I mean, it's been bladed, and it's still there. I mean, I guess it stays all year long. I got tickled at one of the ladies that I talked at the Yellowstone store that we stopped at. I asked her, how long does that snow stay in the parking lot out there? You want to know how she responded to me? She does this. She didn't know. And I'm like, you don't know? And she goes, I really don't know. I don't pay any attention to it. I'm like, wow. So they're used to it, okay? So, but, you know, to me, that was just something to see. And, again, these are just a few more pictures of us going into Yellowstone. Now, the wildlife up there, that was really neat. Never have seen bison in my life other than just on TV, but seeing them in person was something that was just really, really inspiring. We got to not only see that, we saw some elk. Never have seen, we never did see any ram, I don't think we ever saw any on it, but they are, you know, they're up there. And antelope, I've never seen antelope other than on TV. And so that was something that we saw a lot of up there as well too. Now this is the famous store where Derek bought Brother David's bear poop, okay? So be sure if you make another visit up there, he really enjoyed it and he wants another bag. So when you stop up there, buy him another bag. This is where you get it at, okay? So this was really a neat store. So we stopped in there and spent probably about 30, 45 minutes just shopping around and letting folks buy some things and stuff like that. And just a really, really neat place up there. But the beauty of God's creation, oh, I mean, this was awesome. I loved it. Nothing like Yellowstone. Seeing the blue pools, all that stuff. And again, and notice what we're wearing, okay? All right. Some students were cold because they had shorts on, and Jody had shorts on. But they look at me. I'm bundled up like it's wintertime again, okay? I was chilly, okay? But it's just really just a beautiful place. And if you ever get the chance to go, do it because you would definitely not regret it. So my first time ever. But those pools were just so neat. And I think the water temperature of those is 145 degrees. So basically, yeah, you touch it. I mean, don't do it, in other words. So, but anyway, we did go get to see Old Faithful. Unfortunately, we saw Old Faithful erupt during a rainstorm, so we really didn't get to see that. And we stayed up there just to watch that, and because we couldn't decide, well, do we need to go back? Because we're 3 hours from Graybull, Wyoming, up right there. So anyway, but at least we got to see some pretty good pictures of that, and so that was really beautiful. And here's another picture of one of the mountain ranges in the background at Yellowstone. Notice all the snow on top of it. Just beautiful. I mean, I just can't stop saying how beautiful it was. Here's a few more pictures, just other things up there in and around Yellowstone and stuff like that. But anyway, okay, so let me get on. Okay, because I don't want to take too much time. All right, so one of the things that we also got to experience, and I'm going to get into this, I'm going to tell a story, and then I'm going to let Jody come up. One of the things that we got to do up there is Brother James, every time a group comes up there, he always tries to organize a branding. Now, in Wyoming, when you own livestock, it's a law up there that you have to brand your livestock. I mean, physically brand your livestock. They don't, they got ear tags, their cattle do, but they do the branding. Why? Because they actually roam free up there. So when you're passing roads, you see cattle guards everywhere. And to me, that was just mind-boggling. So, you got people's cows just running wild out there. And so he set up a branding. This particular fella right here, he had about 30 calves that need to be branded. And so, when the people come together up there, they come together to help. And so I don't remember this couple's name, but they brought in their horses. We're out there in the pasture, and we're waiting for them and to go out there and round up the cattle, and we get to watch them come in, and they did. I was actually not there when they rounded the cattle up. I was with Brother James. We had to ride down the road and go pick somebody up and come back. But I've seen it before, so I haven't missed anything. And it's just, these people are just cowboys up there. I don't know how else to explain it. I remember telling Brother James, I said, my step-grandfather had 300 head of cattle in East Texas. And I said, I remember, running these cattle into chutes, and he would clip their ears and do all this stuff when I was a little kid and everything like that. He's driving down the road. He leans over at me. He goes, we don't call them cowboys around here. So I just kind of laughed, because they rope them and they drag them in and everything. But I got some pretty good pictures coming up here. Again, this is just everybody getting ready. There's Brother James. That was after we had gotten back. He's watching them get all roped in. Okay, now I really wanted to get to this picture right here. So this is our church bus, a $90,000 church bus. How many of y'all would have ever thought that it's going to be sitting out in a pasture in Wyoming somewhere? And there's the man that got it there. So we were driving back in this pasture, and pasture roads, they're rough. I'm sitting there going, oh man, we're never going to get that bus out of here. That bus is going to get stuck or something like that. But now that bus made it, and we got it in there, and so there we are out there. So a few of the students got to wrestle some of the calves. Even some of our adults did too. So which was really neat watching. These are just some of the pictures that were around that branding. Just beautiful pictures. There's Andrea. She's got in there. She got her feet dirty. There's Tina over there. My left, your right. There they are again, wrestling a calf. There's Mason. I got a couple more. Oh, there. I got to get Gary in there. Gary wanted to eat. So yeah, had to get old Gary in there. So this was a eating that we did after that. Now this couple that brought us into their home to let us eat, it was help me remember their names. Fred and Helen. No, it was not Helen. Jan. Fred and Jan. Thank you. I'm horrible with names. Fred and Jan. Super sweet couple, and so we actually sent them a thank you card, and Andrea had some pictures developed that we sent in the thank you card up there. And notice the Model A, it's crazy because Miss Jan up there is a big car lady, and so I was one of the first people out there to get to her house, and she opened up her shop, and I started seeing all these cars, and I'm like, wow. And she's like, oh, you ain't seen nothing yet, honey. I got a 55 Chevrolet out there. And so next thing you know, Derek and I were making our way out there checking out these cars. They just had all these. You would have never thought these little farmhouses you just go in there and you're like, wow, there's a Model A Ford, So, but again, super nice couple. There's Shasta. Yeah, She's hungry. She's waiting on eating. Anyway, this was one of the cowboys up there that helped with the branding. That is Fred and Jan right there. Super, super sweet couple. Got that picture in front of their Model A, which, by the way, it runs, and she's hoping to completely restore it one day. There's Peyton, and just a few more pictures of around the hotels and stuff like that. Okay, so we had a lot of mission projects and stuff to do up there. I'm going to let you tell the story about the hotels. You can tell the stories about that a whole lot better. But anyway, so we had 4 mission projects we did up there. We sent out 4 mission teams. We had a soccer camp, of course, a VBS project, and there was 2 more projects that we had the opportunity to work on. And let me get to those. Let me advance in there. Here's pictures of the soccer camp. And the ball, Gary can probably tell the story more about the ball. Gary was over soccer camp, and this was one of the soccer balls that they let every kid that attended soccer camp keep. And on this soccer ball is just scripture verses written all over it. And it was a way for them to share the gospel with the kids. And so I've got one of these soccer balls. It's downstairs. I'm going to put it on display in the main event room when time allows. But it's really neat. So I did get the opportunity to go the last day of soccer camp and watch them. And so these are some of the pictures that I grabbed right there, and it was just really, really cool. So anyway. Some of the projects that we did work on was, of course, soccer camp and 2 mission projects. One was going into a little old lady's house. She was being kicked off some property, and she needed to be moved. And there was a house that I had the opportunity to go to where the lady lost everything. Her house caught on fire back in February of this year. And let me remind you, it gets cold in Wyoming, and so she was basically living in a camper, okay? And she lost everything except for the clothes on her back. Her husband had passed away a couple of years prior to that, and so she just really needed some help getting her property cleaned up. And so Penny, myself, Andrea, Derek, and Tina, and Emily Jaggers, we were on that team, and we went up there and helped clean this lady's house up. And she was a super sweet lady. Her name was Miss Ruth, which is my grandmother's name. And I'm going to get past these VBS pictures right here because, again, I'm going to get these out here where people can watch. Oh, there's our laundromat, by the way. Yeah, that's where we've done our laundry. And they're proud of their laundromats up there. It costs $3 to wash a load of clothes. Okay, anyway, so here was the house that we were working on. And so it was a mess. I mean, it was a mess. And she was wanting a lot of things saved at this place, especially her house blocks, because she was going to bring in another trailer. And when we went out there, we were just kind of like shaking our heads. We're like, look at all this debris, look at all this stuff. How in the world are we ever going to get this property cleaned up? Well, thankfully, Brother James had arranged it to where we were able to bring in the skid steer to really help with the cleanup, and that was a game changer with it. So the 2 full days, and we only had 2 days on this particular project there that we worked out there, we were not only able to clean up her property, but just look around her camper that she's living in right there. She's ready for a trailer now. And she came out, and she was just so happy and so overwhelmed with joy that we were able to complete that within 2 days. And it was only because of that skid steer and Derek's driving ability and operating ability to operate that skid steer. I wanted to because I've never operated one with joysticks, but I couldn't ever get on it. Derek was just all over that thing. So, but anyway, all joking aside, that was a sight to see that we were able to clean it up. Now, there was a funny story about this. Prior to us going in there and getting this all cleaned up, she had some shrubbery she wanted cleaned up, and so she told us what to cut and what not to cut. Well, we cut some trees that weren't supposed to be cut. So anyway, she wasn't too upset about that. She was like, that's fine. A couple of the trees that we cut were some trees that her husband had planted, but they were destroyed by that fire. And so she felt like they were going to come back. And we looked at these things, and now Andrea's shaking her head. She's like, these ain't coming back. And I agree. They were not going to come back. They may have had some saplings up around the bottom, but that wasn't the tree coming back. That was the saplings coming up. And so anyway, but she was fine with it. As a matter of fact, I told her, I said, listen, if we get the opportunity to come out here next year, we're going to plant trees all in your yard. And she laughed about that, you know. So, but this was something really cool. All right, I'm going to let Jody come up here because I've talked for 30 minutes, and Jody's only going to talk for 2. And so she's got some funny stories, especially about the accommodations that your youth pastor set up, that we stayed in some 5-star hotels.
So I'll continue with the mission work. We went to, we did not get any pictures. Andrea wasn't with us. And we failed miserably to get pictures. But we went to a lady's home that she was being, due to some unforeseen circumstances, she was having to move out of her home. And so Brother James just said, will y'all go in and help her pack? She's got to move. She had to be out by June 3rd, I believe. So just within a week or 2, she had to be out. And so we got there, and you could hardly see the house for the grass. So several of us jumped off the bus. Derek dropped us off. And the first day, a lot of us got out, Sarah. And the first thing Mike did, he said, do you have a lawnmower? And the grass was so tall. Mike got out there, got on her lawnmower, got some gas, and the grass was so tall that there were animals jumping out from in front of him. Like it was a sight to see. We were not prepared. We walked into the house, and Brother James, he had met with her one time, but he failed to tell us she was a hoarder. And so when we walked into the house, there was a little path, a tiny little path. And we walked through, and she was the sweetest lady, but it was wall-to-wall stuff. But it was all important stuff to her. But she had to be out in a few days. And so I told the girls, we worked all day that first day. We cleaned off her kitchen table. That took a few hours. Shasta saw 2 burn bins out back, too big. And we asked her, we said, can we use those and start to burn some things? Because her garbage cans were full. Her big garbage cans like we have, and they only pick up once a month there. So we really just didn't know what to do. So anyway, Shasta's like, we can do it. I see a box of matches. We've got this. So Lydia and Sarah, they are really good at this. They get, if anybody needs anything burned, they're on it. But that was by day 2. We got really good, didn't we, girls? But that first day we worked. We worked. And so the second day, she didn't want as many back. I think we overwhelmed her just a little bit. I think she couldn't watch all of our hands and what we were throwing away and what we were getting rid of. And so the second day, she just wanted a few of us back. And so the girls, Lydia and Sarah, graciously volunteered to go. And then Cindy and I went. And we worked again. And we answered some questions about some things we'd thrown away that she had already noticed. But she was, at the end of the day, I told the girls, I said, the goal, what we were told the goal was to get her house packed up. Well, we didn't get her house packed up. You can only imagine. We didn't get a very small fraction of the house packed up. But when we left that day, she said, y'all have no idea what you've done for me. She was lonely. Her story was absolutely heartbreaking, the reason she was having to move. And she said when we left that day, she said, y'all have no idea how full I am right now. How full my heart is, how full this house is. It was literally full. But she said, you have no idea. And that's what I told the girls. I said, we thought the mission was to pack up the house, but that was never the mission that God intended for us to do. It was to pour into her. It was to love on her. And so those were the moments that I think when we realized, a lot of times we have this perspective of what God wants us to do or what we're called to do or what our mission is, but then God has a way of sometimes He intervenes and He changes that for His good and for His glory. And I think that is a perfect example of that. I did. Yes. Did you still want to talk more about the mission work? The guys they were amazing. I'd leave a soccer camp and a couple of them would jump in a truck with somebody they had never met, and then they would head over and put a roof on a shop for someone. And Martin fell through the roof. He's here. But it was, what really spoke to me the most was just that, and Brian said this in the beginning, and we have not talked about this, but it's the daily work that we do. We want to wait and call a trip a mission trip. We want to wait and have an event and call it mission work. But it's the day in and the day out. Just when we were casing the town, and Brian had some pictures up there, handing out flyers for soccer camp and VBS. I rode with Brother James. We all took different vehicles, and everybody went to different towns and different sections of the town and locations. And I was riding with Brother James, and we stopped. I think Emily was with me and Jaden was with me. And we would stop, and he would go, "Hang on, I got to jump out. I've got something in the back of my truck." They needed a little bit more lumber to finish up there. So him helping us do the mission work, he was doing a mission work within that, just constantly. He would put the car in park, a truck in park, and, he would talk to some kids on the street that he knew, that maybe he had helped their family, and checking on people. And, it was the day in and day out work that he does. It wasn't an event. It wasn't a time. It was just his day-to-day work. And I think that was what was so inspiring about what we did was, yes, you can do it. It becomes mundane to us because we get in a routine and we do the things that we schedule for ourselves or we get involved in. But there's so many opportunities within those things that we can actually be doing intentional work for God. So that was one of the great things. VBS was so much fun. We had lots of wonderful kids. Now, our soccer team guys, they really promoted it. We had lots of soccer kids. So everybody came from soccer camp, and then they came that night. Everybody was blistered. And then, but it was great. We had that was the community center there in Grable, and that's where we held the VBS. It was a perfect location. They have a lot going on, so we had to set up and take down every night. But everybody jumped in, but you can say we had lots of laughs. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of tiring days, but it was really great. I do have a couple of things before I sit down. One thing is, I do want to thank Brian on a serious note for, I guess, following his heart, following the will of God, and taking our church group on this mission trip. Because I know there was a lot of pushback at times. The price was, he would check on things. He'd go, "Oh gosh, that's too much." Or we would, run into roadblocks here and run into roadblocks there trying to get it planned. But he persevered, and thank you for that. Honestly, we say thank you. I think it was an experience for all of us. And sometimes we just have to overcome those fears. And Satan's going to put things in our way. He's going to. And so I think he did his fair share. But we had a great trip. We did the first night. Brian has lost some privileges, though. He has. With all of the good, and the overall mission and vision was great. He did get us home safely. But he did lose some privileges. He will never book another hotel. Okay? So what he failed to tell you is that morning, and he called me several months before, and he's like, "Hey, what do you think about this location?" I said, "Just call the hotel and ask them. Tell them who we are, what age group children you're going to have." Okay, so here, we got this. Okay, it's fine, it's good, it's a great deal. That's what he kept saying, it's a great deal. So we get into Lincoln, Nebraska, the first night. First stop. And so we get there, and it's real late. It's almost 10 o'clock at night. And so we are just all so tired. We get off the bus, we go in, we figure out the rooms finally. We go, somebody forgets something, go back out to the parking lot, come back in. Anyway, we all get settled, and I don't know what time was it, Gary, 1:30, 2, when we heard the crash. I don't know, but Gary and I both sat straight up in bed. And he said, "What was that?" And if Gary says, "What was that?" that's a problem, because he's usually telling me, "Don't worry about it, it's fine." I said, "I don't know." So we finally realized, though, that our whole curtain rod, big curtain rod, had slung down, fallen, and hit the air conditioner. So we were like, "Oh, okay, that was it. That was the crash. We're good. We can go back to sleep now." So we go back to sleep. So we get up the next morning, and we're headed out, and everybody loads up, and we're all good. And Shasta, we're in the van. Gary's driving the van, and Shasta and Mason and Martin and Lexi, we're all in there. And I said, "What's all the barbed wire? What is all of this?" And all of a sudden, you see Nebraska State Penitentiary. Not down the road, across the street. Had I known that's where we were when I heard that crash, there would have been no going back to sleep. So Brian lost his privilege. So about halfway through the trip, he said, "Hey, I think we can get further home." They had discussed it, Mike, several of us adults had discussed, "I think we can get a little bit closer to home." And Brian's like, "Well, we only have until such and such date to rebook, cancel and rebook." He said, "I'll just call." I said, "No, you will not." So we took it upon ourselves, Andrea, Shasta, and I sat in the laundromat. We got us a good hotel, didn't we, Andrea? So, but we've laughed about that. Brian will never do that again. So, but I do have one more thing before I sit down, other than saying, I do want to say thank you. Just like Brian said, I want to echo what he said. Thank you for your support, your prayers, your monetary support, because we could not have done it without it. We're so grateful for it. But I do have one thing. Derek, will you come up here, please? He says, "Uh-oh." Come on, Derek. All right, so I so appreciate all of our drivers. Gary did a great job. Come on up here, Derek. The food, Mike and Elizabeth, gosh, we couldn't have made it without them. Driving all of our food, out there, the coolers and the food, and we couldn't have. But Derek and I go way back. When I took on this children's director position, Derek, he holds a commercial driver's license. And Derek, every time I needed somebody to go wherever, I would call Derek. And Derek, he doesn't say no very often, but I know sometimes it did put him in a bind. And I would say every time, just remember, Derek, you're driving for Jesus. You're driving for Jesus. So anytime he hesitated, I'd go, "You're driving for Jesus," okay? So Brian really put him in a pickle. Brian really put him in a pinch this time. Kind of last minute. Derek wasn't going to go, but Brian guilted him into it, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so I thought it was definitely time that you got your Driving for Jesus shirt, okay? It's definitely time. You have earned it. Your Driving for Jesus shirt. All right. No, we could not have had a better group, y'all. It was great. And I thank you. Thank you. Thank you for not letting Satan stand in the way, because he tried, but it was great.
I just want to say I got a good rate on that hotel. And I forgot to tell him that the penitentiary was across the road, but the lady at the hotel said it's safe. And I was like, good, book it. I mean, I'm all about saving a dollar. But one thing before Miss Lily wants to say something tonight, too, and then we'll dismiss after Lily gets done talking. And, of course, if any of my other students or adults want to say something, I definitely don't want to stop this and let y'all talk, because we could stay up here forever. We have so many funny stories. Don't speed through Wyoming, okay? Don't speed, okay? All right, because 2 of our drivers got tickets. Derek and I let them burn. We kept going. I wish y'all had gotten pictures because I would have loved to have that up there. But all joking aside, don't speed through Wyoming. When they mean 30 miles an hour, they mean 30 miles an hour. But one of the things that Brother James did say to me, and it was true that what Jody was saying about him when they were riding around is that that's what he does. That's his mission work. I mean, he just goes around. And my heart just broke for him when he told me, he said, I just don't have any young people up here. He said, the only time I get young people is when people like y'all bring teams up here. And I'm like, are you serious? He's like, I'm serious. I don't have any help. And I'm like, wow, And then I think about our own community. And I think about this great grand church. And the big question is are we doing enough for Jesus? Are we doing enough? I mean, take a look around at our PM service tonight. It's the cream of the crop. I was talking with one of our deacons tonight. It's the cream of the crop. It's the people we see every Sunday night. And Brother David hit it on the head this morning when he was up here preaching about Sunday. We need church, y'all. We need church because this is where we come to be fed. But there's work out there that needs to be done, and it's in our community. One of my daily verses on this trip was Matthew 28:19. We all know what it says. Some of y'all can quote it. It's the Great Commission. And so as day 2, we were jumping back on the bus, okay, with the penitentiary across the road, and Derek was driving, and I looked down, and that was my daily verse for the day, and I just sat there and I stared at it, and I got to thinking to myself, you know what, we're doing this. We're doing this. We're going. We're out doing what we as believers do. We go out and we're sharing the gospel. We're going out and we're talking about Jesus, and it's through these little projects and things like that. And it's just, all of us, I believe, received a blessing out of it. So anyway, really, come on up. We've been talking and talking and talking. I'm proud of this girl right here. She wants to come up and say something as well, too. They did a fantastic job. One of the things about Lily and Autumn, and I feel really bad about this, and so I'm publicly going to apologize to her, is I had put them on Miss Kitty's team to go and clean the house. And so when the last day of soccer camp, her and Autumn came up to me, and they said, hey, can we go to soccer camp? And I was like, absolutely. I was like, I mean, you didn't even have to ask. And Lily was like, we would love to have done soccer camp. So, again, I learn things on trips like this. I'm thinking, well, soccer's just a boys' sport. I mean, it's only going to be boys want to go do this kind of work. No, I had 2 girls right here willing to do it, and they got out there, and they did it. So, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Here you go. Come on.
Well, first of all, I grew up playing soccer, so of course I want to do the soccer camp. But I also want to thank everyone that made this happen before I actually start to speak, because I've never been on a trip before where I really felt like I was meant to be there and like I was really making an impact on all these kids that I met and all of these kids that I did soccer camp with and that I led in VBS, because it was really beautiful to meet them all and see all these things and experience. For some of these kids, they'd never been to a VBS and they'd never been to a soccer camp, and I was really glad I got to be there with them. And I've been thinking all week about what I was going to say, and I didn't. Up here?
There you go, yeah. There you
because I can't think of very many words that can really describe what it was like being there. There was so many things that went wrong, like our rooms and getting tickets and buying hotels, but there was also so many things that went right. Like meeting those kids, and they were so smart. They were amazing. And reading the soccer balls with all the verses. And I remember one of the kids that came up, and he said, I want to read from the soccer ball. I want to read to the rest of the kids. I don't remember what it was that he read. I think it was it the 10 Commandments? It was the 10 Commandments. And when I was little, I know that I would have never wanted to get up and do that. And I didn't know Jesus when I was little. So seeing that made me so happy, because growing up, that's really important for kids, and getting to do things that are fun while also getting to learn is really, really important, especially with VBS, because my only experience when I was younger with God was VBS. So when all of those kids would show up and they would learn, I really felt like I was making an impact and like I was some part of something that had really come full circle. I was getting to teach, which is, I loved it. It was amazing. And I just hope that we inspired all of those kids to keep learning about Jesus, and I hope that we help them with their walk with God, because I know they helped me, and I know that it helped me personally grow closer with him, and also with myself, because I've really struggled for a very long time with knowing what I was meant to do and what I would do when I grew up. And I had thought about teaching, but I was not very sure. And getting there, I just immediately knew that that's what I needed to do, and I needed to go, and I needed to teach. And being able to do VBS here with this church too is something that I feel like I want to do for the rest of my life. So getting to go there and meet all of the kids and getting to lead them and help them and grow with them was really special, and I hope it was special for everyone else too. And truthfully, I don't know what else I could really say, because being with those kids and helping them, especially with soccer camp, I loved soccer camp so much, and I know that all the kids love soccer camp, and some of those kids I got to see twice a day because they also came to VBS. They learned so much. It was amazing, and I know that a lot of things went wrong at that soccer camp. A lot of things went wrong. I remember the last day we did a coaches versus kids game, and oh, bless her heart, one of the moms came to pick up her kids. She was picking up 3 kids, I think, and every single one of them rushed up to her and went, "Oh, I got injured here and here and here," because we did not have a single accident until that day. I remember one of the girls, her name was Emma. She had gotten, I think her ankle wasn't sprained, but she had gotten an ankle injury. She rolled it, and then she was finally getting back in, finally going to play again, and then immediately got kicked in the back of the head with a soccer ball. I remember she had turned around and she was like, I'm good, and then just started bawling. It was terrible, and one of our girls had a sprained ankle, so she could not come to the last day of VBS. Another kid got hit in the stomach, and I felt so bad for them, but they were so strong, and they still smiled, and they still did their best to be at VBS, and I was so thankful that they were able to make it, because they were just so strong, and it was so wonderful to meet all of them. And I am just so glad that I got to go, and I got to grow closer with the youth group, and I am so thankful for everyone that helped make this happen. Thank you very much.
All right, so like I said, thank you again to this church. I mean, there's so much more we can share. I mean, look at us. We've been in here an hour, almost an hour, just sharing about this trip, and there's just so much more. And and I hope you didn't find this boring, because we don't want it to be boring. What we want this to be is we want this to be an encouragement to you to go and get out there and do the work. We're fed here on Sunday mornings, Wednesday nights, Sunday nights, but we need to go out and we need to do the work, church. We do, right here in our own community. And listen, I would love, again, to go back. And if we do, we're flying, okay? We're flying, okay? We, honestly, though, that's what Jody and I were talking about. These were the setbacks, because we were thinking, well, some of these kids won't ever see that side of the country in their life. Some adults maybe. So why not do the drive and experience the drive at least one time? And to be honest with you, yes, it was long, but it went by like that. I mean, it did. I mean, it literally went by like that. And here we are. I was. My nerves were up there. I wish I would have felt better on the trip. I was sick during that time. And, we talked about setbacks and how the enemy will get in the way. Well, Brother James was battling pneumonia. And so, this is what the devil tries to do. But we persevered. And we touched some hearts. We did some work up there. I'm proud of my boys. They did good work. Yes, we had some drama, especially with the rooms. That's why Lily and Autumn are champs. I mean, they had to stay in a room one night without a bathroom. But anyway, they had a bathroom across the parking lot. But I told them up front, I'm like, look, are you sure you want to do this? And they're like, we're fine. We can do this, Brian. And I'm like, y'all are champs. And then all of a sudden, they get this room with a kitchen in it, which got Mike Johnson excited because he had a place to wash his dishes. So after that, they would come into Lily and Autumn's room and wash their dishes. This is how we work together. And but it was great. I mean, Lydia had to sleep with her dad one night. You know, she hadn't done that since she was a baby. I was like, Lydia, we'll fix this. I'll get us some doubles tomorrow, okay? We're going to fix this, you know? So, I mean, I think she was kind of sleeping like this right here. I'm like, I'm your dad, you know? But anyway, but it was great. It really was. And thank you again, church. Thanks again. I just embarrassed her. But seriously, thank you again. You know, I wish more people were here tonight. I'm not going to lie about it. Because this has been one of the best trips that I've been a part of. I've been a part of mission work in the past. Nothing like this on a grand scale like this, where you go. I mean, literally, it was 9 o'clock, 9:30. We got good at taking up and setting down too. We timed ourselves. I mean, you know, and cleaning that place up after we got done using it. I mean, this was work, and it is not for the faint-hearted either. And I told a lot of people this, you know, and but anyway, I hope that they go with me again. I mean, because the relationships that we developed, I just thought was really good. I still got some work to do with this youth group. I got some students I've got to straighten out, and I'm not going to lie, this is hard work. Church work is hard work. Jody and I talk about it a lot. This is harder than our jobs. I mean, our full-time jobs. Church work is hard. But in the end, it's rewarding. It's rewarding because we know who we're doing it for. Just as Derek drives for Jesus, I mean, we're doing all this for Jesus. Amen? So, listen, if you need a bus driver, he's not for hire. He belongs to me, okay? Don't ask Derek or Jody, okay? So, Derek is mine. Y'all go out. We need some men getting their CDLs to drive that church bus, okay? So, if y'all want to go out and get your CDL, look into it, come ask me some questions. I'll be happy to point you in the right direction. So, but the bus did great. It made it. What's that? Yeah, and Jody will get you a T-shirt. Driving for Jesus, FBC Mantachie. Okay. All right. Everybody stand up. Let's dismiss for the night. Listen, just a reminder, we're going to get these pictures up online. Mr. Gary's going to take care of that for us so we can go back and watch it. But anytime, I mean, I'll be happy to set up a computer in the back and let it play and put it on a time schedule, and y'all can just look at them. We got tons and tons of pictures. But thank you for being here tonight. It really means a lot, and it means to me that you care. And so just been a wonderful trip again. Brother Chris in the back there, would you dismiss us tonight, sir?